Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to a very special Patreon-only episode.
A bonus episode.
Which we're calling our Mailbag episode because it is questions from all of you guys for the cast.
Yes. So we went in and we picked some wonderful questions. You guys gave us amazing, amazing questions. And we really hope that you enjoy all the answers.
I know. I had so much fun asking the cast these questions.
I know I did too.
We got some really great answers. And so this bonus episode is for you. Enjoy
Just
it.
for you.
Woo! All right, Miss Palmer. My first one is from Anarchy_Goddess.
Okay.
What has been the most rewarding thing about being part of a show that means so much to so many people?
The answer is almost in the question a little bit. I think that it resonating so much with people was such a gift for us too. Because it feels really great to have touched people the way that show did. And the way that the dynamics and the characters did. And so it felt I was really always humbled and felt really grateful to be a part of something that felt like it was bigger than, what is it? The whatever is bigger than the sum of its parts or whatever, that old saying. Jesus.
Yeah.
It felt good to be a small piece of a puzzle that ended up being, such a beautiful work of art and mattered to so many people. And I was grateful for that. And of course, then, it goes without saying the friendships that came out of Lost Girl, are, you make these friendships if you go to people talk about friends that they made at camp or friends that they made at university or and as you get older, those kinds of experience become less and less and less because, everyone's going in their own separate sort of worlds. And being on that show felt a little bit like we were all at camp.
Totally.
In a lot of ways. And we really just were in the trenches together and it was beautiful. And those friendships have lasted and that means the world to me.
My next fan question is from in the Sky.
Yeah.
Have you learned a special skill on Lost Girl? And do you have a skill that you have never put to use in your career yet?
Well, I did learn some special skills on Lost Girl, but I'm not sure it's appropriate to talk about what they are. I don't know. What did I learn on Lost Girl? I mean, I sang in French, which was the first time I've ever done that. So I suppose I can say I've done that. In terms of what can I do that I didn't get to do? I don't know.
What special skills do you have that we?
I don't think I have any. I can make a mean stew.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Zoe Palmer makes a mean stew.
It's really mean.
I love it. I have one more fan question. It's for both of us.
Okay.
It's from Lily M517.
Okay.
And I love this question. I've always been so curious what Anna and Zoe think Bo would have said to describe what kissing Lauren as a conduit succubus felt like after describing kissing Dyson as the 4th of July in my mouth. So we just finished watching that episode where I say it's like the 4th of July in my mouth, kissing Dyson. Do you remember when you became the succubus in whatever season?
Yes.
And we share a kiss. And so this fan's asking, what would
that kiss be described as?
Yeah, not the 4th of July. What would it be?
The New Year's countdown.
That was like the New Year's countdown in my mouth. Yeah. That was like, they would have to be like European.
Well,
New
the
Year's,
ball drops and then the fireworks go, it's
like, it has to be like over Spain or something. Cause those always look.
Yeah. You mean not a North American countdown?
No, because it could be a North American countdown. I just feel like.
I don't need it to be. I'm just trying to understand here.
That was like Memorial Day in my mouth.
Yes.
That doesn't work. That was like Black Friday.
Cutting the Canada Day cake in my mouth.
That was like New Brunswick Day in my mouth. No. Hey, that's an important day.
Oh, no. I know.
No, I think you're right. I think it would be
New Brunswick Day in my mouth. That's it. I think we can stop. right there.
Hello, Mr. Holland.
Hello, Miss Silk.
Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions from the mailbag, which means we got some questions on Instagram from fans, and I would like to ask you. So this is from 10blue_eyes_Lisa10. And her question was, I'm a huge fan of all mythology, and I'm curious what you all thought of the mythical part of the show. What was, for example, your favorite fae mythical species and why? I'm asking you this question, Rick, because you were really, we've talked about it already, really kind of responsible for a lot of the discussion about the mythology. But what did you think about them? How did you, I mean, for me, you go. You answer.
I was always really impressed the fact that I could like type into Google one of the character types, like the Morag, for example, and something would come up. So it was from some folklore place, and so there was some reference to things already. So there was that, and that was the easiest way. As an actor, that's the easiest way to actually do that kind of exposition, is to have an image in your head and have like a Wikipedia page kind of like information in your head about the character. Like, so, I know it comes from this kind of thing, and this is what people thought, and that's what it was, and blah, blah, blah. And so that when you got to the dialogue, the actual dialogue that you had to say, there was something in your head of what this thing looked like, rather than, and I think that was when things were really difficult with the exposition of that kind of stuff, when it was something completely made up from inside the writer's head, and it wasn't kind of like, there wasn't a visual aspect that I could
grab onto.
What was hilarious, like my book of Fae, which was that giant book that, it was when we first, I've made jokes about this too at cons, that, it was actually a furniture book. And like in the early episodes, I'm like telling you something, and I open the page, and it's about a dovetail joint on a chair. And I'm looking at the words dovetail joint, and I'm supposed to be telling you about a morag, which is like a sea mud swamp creature that comes out and has, a flat head or whatever. And like, I can't look at that and then, and say the words that, like, it was really difficult. And Lisa, our props master guru, she started to she would do her own little bit of research and cut and paste anything and point out to the page that I would go to. And then there would be a picture of the morag or a little blurb written in like hieroglyphics, which again, like that's another thing. It's like, like when I had to write in my blood, I went to them and I said, I want the alphabet. I want whatever lettering that you guys use. I want that. I want to know what it is. I want to know what the words are. I want to know how to write a word, how to write a sentence. I'll even just by rote, I'll practice it. But just so that when you close up, if you want to close up on my hand writing it, you can, because I'll be doing it the right way. Because I've always I always get distracted and thrown out when, you're seeing a person do this, and then there's a cutaway of them reaching for a thing, and it's not their hand, or it's like,
right.
It's just there's something weird about the positioning or the camera positioning, and it's like, I don't want that. I don't want somebody to be watching my performance and be thrown out by a weird camera angle or an odd looking hand, or, even my the wardrobe not being exactly the same, So get it while we're in it, get it while we're doing the scene. And I want it to be legit. And like, so then she started to do that in the book, and then they could shoot over my shoulder into the book, because she was doing this beautiful artwork. And now it's no longer.
That's what I remember about the book. I remember it having pictures and stuff. So I must have not seen the earlier furniture version. I must have not seen that.
If I turned to the wrong page, it was a dovetail joint.
It was an IKEA setup for. Okay, next question. Let me see here. Oh, this question is from Grayson, spelled Graucyn. And Grayson, I want you to know that Rachel told me to say your name that way. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. But either way, we appreciate your question. The question is, Groundhog Faye was such a phenomenal episode and super fun to watch. But I wonder if it was more challenging to film than some other episodes. Repeating the same scenes over and over from different angles probably required a lot of careful planning and positioning for both cast and crew. Do you want to comment on that episode, Rick? Because I know you were so fantastic in it. And it was, it was a crazy episode to film.
Was that? I'm trying to remember which one.
Where the day repeats over and over. All I remember is you being drunk in Beau's bathtub with a tie on your head.
Oh, yes. Yes. Ron Murphy directed that. He's like, Rick, you don't have to play so drunk. You could just kind of, it's like, no, I'm playing it drunk. I don't get to do this. I want to play it this way. And I wouldn't give him really subtle performances because I wanted it to be the way I had in my mind. I fought back on him. But yeah, no, that was that was fun. You and I and Rachel in the bathtub with the tie on my head. And
yes.
that was fun. I enjoyed making you guys laugh and being goofy and it wasn't difficult. I don't think. It was just a lot of fun. I remember having a lot of fun on that.
It was one of those episodes that felt like acting camp. You know, like the body switching episode. Like this was another one that felt like we were all like acting camp and we got to do all this stuff together. And I mean, I think that was season 4. And the reason I remember is because I had just had my first son. So that brings a lot of new things to an actor when they're performing. So I just remember that. Yeah, that was a fun episode to do. So, Ksenia, we have some mailbag questions for you. The first one is from Diva Las Vegas 61. My question is for Ksenia. When you were asked to play Kenzie, how did you so masterfully embrace her to the point of making viewers like myself think you were more Kenzie than Ksenia? That question made more sense in my head. So I hope it makes sense to you. Love you all. So the question is, how did you masterfully embrace her to the point of blurring the lines between what people think you are and who Kenzie was?
Oh, goodness. I don't know if I can answer that question in an articulate, graceful way, because that's a hard one. Because I was just trying not to get fired. You know what? Let's just be real. The entire first season, I don't know what people are seeing, and thank you so much for that incredible compliment, because I do take it as such. But the entire first season, all I could think of was like, you're not funny. Like, you're not funny. You're not funny. And you're going to get fired. So I guess just like enjoy the ride before they fire you at the end of season 1, because it's going to happen.
So a healthy dose of like verbal abuse and fear.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm very familiar. I'm familiar with that technique.
That's how I did it.
Love it. Love that answer. Okay. My next question is from Amy is weird _ She says, I just finished a rewatch last night. Here is my question. Beau always says that Kenzie is her heart. In my opinion, the friendship of Beau and Kenzie is the heart of Lost Girl. Do you agree?
Yes. I mean, it was for me. The Beau and Kenzie relationship was, everything. It was our planet, our beacon, our heart, my heart. 100%. I agree.
I do too, by the way. Nothing else would have come out of Beau or happened without that grounded friendship that she had. So I agree. And my last mailbag question for you is from TV Longo. What were some things you did that helped you get into character?
Ooh, great question. I think the clothes and the hair and the makeup, I mean, it was hard not to feel like full Kenzie every morning when we got suited up. We had such an incredible team. We were so lucky that these characters had their own like specific details and quirks and hairstyles, and for Kenzie specifically, like custom, like shirts, that weren't supposed to have like laces, but we'd put like a shoelace here or a shoelace here, or like her custom jeans that she had where she had like laces like in the thigh, like all those little things. It was hard not to just feel like I got like the Kenzie robot on. That doesn't make any sense. It made sense in my head, but like you're like armored. You're armored and you're like ready to go. So that was incredibly important for me, and also being like physically free. I had never been able or allowed, maybe, to be like physically free in scenes like that before. So kind of assessing the situation of every scene and then going like, what is the most like off the wall, weird position I can take in this room? That would always help me get into Kenzie brain.
Mr. Holden Reed, I have a few mailbag questions for you from fans from Instagram. My first one is from Tempest_in_a_teapot. What is your background in combat, fighting, weapons, etc. before Lost Girl? And what did you learn by being on the series? Do you still practice any of those skills?
Oh my God. What did I learn on this series? Okay.
Yeah. And what were your skills beforehand?
I know. We learned so much on this series. This series was, because of the genre, we were fighting, we were fucking, we were
all the F words,
crazy stuff. All it's like it was such an education in so many different acting levels. Like we had to do very cliche kind of stereotypical stuff. We had to be like dark and like brooding. We had to, we had like fights with supernatural creatures. We had to act with tennis balls, like as like the Garuda, like, and and like the tones too. We had to like lean into like that big sort of almost high fantasy tonals, making the big, deep, rich world almost like that, you see on the bigger fantasy movies, but we also had to keep it kind of light in TV. There was so many, like, honestly, it was the best 5-year acting education ever. So the things that I learned, I can't count. I couldn't do it right now. I mean, that's the best I can say because it was huge. And also learning off of all these amazing actors we worked with and the directors, and like we learned how to be a family and act and support together.
In terms of fight skills, though, I remember you have an athletics background, right? Before clearly you do. You're not like,
well, that's what got me into acting with sports. So I was on the national team of a sport called modern pentathlon, which is a European sport which has running, swimming, shooting, horseback riding, and fencing. So that's how I got into the industry. And so, yeah, the fighting stuff has always come pretty naturally to me. So, and then martial arts and just different things. So is there anything specific on Lost Girl that I learned that I could practice today? No. I learned how to not injure myself on Lost Girl. In season 2, I suffered a really bad injury on my back from a stunt sequence. It was a very heavy episode. I think it was 205 or something. And I was fighting every day. And at the last day of this, I was fighting this big guy and I blew my back out. And then I was just like, okay, like proper. You remember how bad I was?
Oh, I
Or,
do.
like,
I've never seen you so sad.
I couldn't walk. Remember?
No. And you were such a physical, I mean, everyone would be sad, obviously, if they can't move their body. But for you in particular, you are such a physical actor and you're so in your body, which I was always in awe of, by the way, because you're always so present in it. And you couldn't be that season after that injury, you know? But you dedicated to getting better. You really did. You honored it. You honored where you were
I
at.
learned so much through that injury, and I've never, touch wood, I have not had a back injury since. And that was the Pilates. That was, the deep core strength training through different practitioners. And like, honestly, that injury changed my life as much as Lost Girl changed mine too. So there you go.
There you go. My next question is from TV Longo. What were some things you did that helped you get into character?
Well, Anna knows definitely some of these. So in the beginning of season 1, like from a lot of the seasons actually, to just get that animalistic thing going, I would, before a take or before starting a new scene or something, I would like do like these guttural sort of like growls, like one, it was to rub my throat up a bit so that Dyson, was a little more gruff. But also it's just to get the energy going, like to get that energy up.
Yeah.
And I remember Anna, well, I didn't know it at first, but it really made her uncomfortable.
I loved all the growling. I loved it. I just remember Dan in sound would have his headphones off and then put them on because you'd always be growling right before. Because it was, but I get it. I mean, I get it. If I was a wolf, I'd be growling too. And you seem so wolf to me that if someone said like, did you know that Chris Holden Reed is actually part wolf? I'd be like, yeah, I know. I know that. Yeah. So I do remember you doing that. My last fan question is from Maya.herfandom. It says, Dyson Bow fan here. Semi-dark question. Do you think when Lauren passes away, Bo would then get back together with Dyson? So of course, we don't want to think about Lauren passing away, but in the world of this play, let's just say that she was human. So that will happen eventually, unless we can create some sort of something.
I don't know. I think she's going to science the shit out of herself, and like there's going to be some fake crossover. Well, I think it happens in remember the season 4 or something like that.
Yes.
But anyway, I think that Dyson, that's what he's counting on. It's like, someday this skinny little blonde human is going to be gone.
She'll be gone. And I feel like would Bo and Dyson get back together? I feel like they are never really apart, frankly. I mean, yes, the penis vagina connection may have had come to an end at this point, which we used to call P and the V. I don't remember if you remember that.
I totally do. Are you kidding?
Oh, okay. It's kind of a memorable thing. Is this a P and the V? Yeah. So the P and the V stuff may have disconnected at that point, but I think Bo and Dyson are always they share something that transcends, where the show left off. Okay, Mr. Casey Collins, we have some fan questions for you from Instagram. This one is from Jet Taylor 22. What was a favorite standout moment filming and one that was especially challenging? And that can be from any of the episodes in Lost Girl.
I think I really liked what stood out to me was the whole scene, the whole episode where we're going after the what was it called? The
Garuda.
Garuda. Thank you. The Garuda. That was fun. That whole layer situation. It was the set piece, the set design was fantastic. So that was memorable. Yeah. We stepped it up.
We did.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another fan question for you from Wilda85. what was the most challenging yet rewarding part of playing your character?
Well, I guess the challenge was we were sort of just thrown into it. It was very, very quick. Dyson and I, or Chris and I, met. So I flew out and we started filming like the next day or the next 2 days, something like that. And we just met right on set. That was our introduction during the first scene of I think it became, I can't remember what episode it became, but yeah, we just met on the day, and it was just like, hey, and rehearsal. And we rehearsed, and then, all right, action. And then we just did it. And it was just like, I love you, man. I love you too, man. This is going to be great. It's going to be great. And we just bonded. It was great. It was fantastic. So that was challenging because you don't know what you're walking into. And, as a performer, you hope that the person or the people that you're working with, you just hope it works out. So that was challenging more for my heart than anything. and rewarding was actually just being allowed to, I find when you have these type of shows and you have, certain characters productions tend to want a carbon copy of something else that's either on television or that they've seen, that they think works, and they want to keep that up. I was just grateful that I was able to play the character the way I wanted to play the character. I was able to play him with a coolness. I didn't have to play him, straight or in a box. I was able to, use things that people might not understand, like, mystical panty removal, like, and be able to throw an accent on it, and in the same sentence be able to say por favor, from another culture. And I really appreciated and respected that. I respected, Jay Firestone and everyone there for not cutting that stuff and not saying, we can't do that, or no one's going to understand that. Well, you don't understand something, you go and you look it up now, you research it, you ask questions, and that allows us as humanity to appreciate each other and respect each other. So,
yeah. And that's, it's hard to imagine that that's a risk-taking move for a network or for a group of producers, but it is risky because people do want to walk that kind of very safe line. And you're right. They didn't do that on our show. They let us bleed into who our characters were and bring those aspects of ourselves and storytelling, which was so great.
Yep, absolutely.
Paul Amos. This question is from Linz and Beck. I hope I'm saying that right, but thank you for your question. How did Paul Amos feel when he saw the outfits he needed to wear as Vex?
Oh, yeah. Challenged every time. I'm very challenging when I first did it, because that wasn't me. Like, I don't think I hadn't really done anything like in that vein before. And, I'm from Wales. I like rugby, and you're going to the pub and drinking. So the idea of wearing high heels and tight leather pants and collars that are strangling me was a little out there for me. But yeah, I guess those are the great challenges that you get. As an actor, you get to step into things that you're not comfortable with, and you get this kind of whole bag of tricks that you have to get yourself through it and to live other lives that you don't get to live sometimes as who you are as a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
amazing.
Help.
One more fan question I have here from Deb Dixon 74. I know many of the cast are parents to some younger children. Have the cast let them watch any of the show? And if yes, what did they think?
Well, I wouldn't say I let Eloise watch the show, but I remember a few episodes were left on the iPad when she was around about 4, and we were living in Toronto, and she started to talk to me a little bit about the show when she was 4, and the girl on girl action definitely was an eye opener for a 4-year-old. The Barbies certainly started doing different things in the bedroom from what they were doing prior to that.
Well, it was an education. It was. My kids could care less. I mean, I've tried to show them some like fight scenes that I've done because I thought, wow, they'll think that's cool. They're like, huh, yeah. But now that they know that I'm doing a podcast and it's going to be on YouTube, they're losing their minds. That's all they can say is like, can we be on? We want to be on YouTube. Can we get, who's going to subscribe? Has anyone liked and I'm like, oh my God, because that's the thing now, right? Inga, I have a couple of questions from Instagram. Our first one is from Rich Hud61. Have your kids seen the show? If so, what do they think?
They have not. And literally this time doing the rewatch, I thought, well, my daughter would love it so much, but she's 11 and it's very like sexual. Right. So I was kind of like, this is probably, but she would love it. It'd be like the thing I'm going to have to make sure I save it for her to watch when she's older. Yeah. But then I thought my son, who's 17, and his girlfriend and like his age group, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to show this to them. They're going to totally dig it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay. One more question from Instagram is from Dyson Sire. Was there ever an especially difficult episode to film where a lot of things didn't go as planned?
I would say like that's kind of a 2-part, like difficult and not as planned, but my favorite, so it's kind of weird, was the stuff in the tank. When I was inside the tank, and I was losing my mind.
Oh, yes. Was this the tank where there was like separate cells for people?
Yes. And I was like found there, like the audience hadn't seen me for a long time. And then they found out this is where I'd been. And it was so unexpected in the way that I didn't realize at the time, but the way I had kind of like worked on the scene and delivered it until Ron came out and told me this is not at all like what they expected or thought it was going to be like. And I was like, oh shit. But he's like, no, they like love it. Like keep going, go bigger, go further. And so it was difficult just, to be in this tank all day. And I was really trying to go to very real places. Like I'm crying, I'm laughing, I'm screaming. It was this, I'd never had a chance to do something like that yet on television. Mm-hmm. I'd always done really a lot of procedural stuff, played a lot of cops. And I was like, okay, Inga, it can be really intimidating, embarrassing. And I was like, just go for it. Like, if they tell you it sucks, whatever, don't be embarrassed. But I went for it hard and they were like so stoked about it. And
yeah, I remember seeing you and I remember it being very unnerving to see you like that.
Yeah. It was real. The tears and all that stuff that was happening in there and the freaking out. Like I really so then in between takes, this was the most difficult part. I would just sit on the floor in the tank and they'd say, do you want to come out? And I would say, no, I'm just going to stay in here.
Yeah.
And so I just sat inside there because I thought that would make me feel even more claustrophobic for the next take and more like trapped and
totally
and scared. And so that was a hard day, but I remember leaving that night thinking like, that was some good shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's rewarding when it's rewarding when you honor your own instincts and ask for what you need, even by just them saying, do you want to come out? And you saying no. Mm-hmm. That's you asking for what you need or telling people.
Yeah. And I hadn't really done that before.
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. And when you roll the dice on your own instincts and it pays off, it's so rewarding,
Yes.
It really is.
Yes. Yeah. I took that with me into my future of acting. I was like, no, do what you want to do, say what you want to say, and just see where that goes. Yeah.
Emmanuel, this question is from present.here. If you could change one thing about the show, good or bad, what would it be?
I would wish that they had not ended it when they did. That I think it still had a lot more life to it, and I feel it was premature, and I think there was a lot more there.
Wow. That kind of leads into my next question for you from Jen Dumas 173. If you had an opportunity to do a season 6, well, technically we kind of did 6 seasons. So if you could do an extra season, I'll say, what storyline might you be interested in telling for your character?
I think maybe going back, I really liked when we went into sort of the Morgan's backstory a little bit, and sort of how why she is the way she is, and showed a bit more of her vulnerability, and especially when she was turned human for a while, that part was explored late in the show. And I would have liked to have seen more of that, because I thought it brought another layer of like a more depth to the character, other than just being the big bad and, flying into every episode that I was in and be like, rah, and then leaving.
Yeah, totally. And it actually ultimately makes the big bad part of you even more have more meaning,
Right.
Yeah. From another question from D5NN13113. Wow. Okay. I hope I'm saying that right. If you happen to switch roles, who do you want to be?
Ooh. I would say Kenzie, because I feel like she had so much fun.
So much
like
fun.
That was, she was like sassy and, just quirky, and had like the one-liners that they gave her were just spectacular. And she did she was phenomenal in that role. So I think that, that would be fun to explore that. But yeah, but she was that role.
Totally.
She was so perfect.
Totally.
Okay, this is from Cat Whisperer 13.
Okay.
What was your favorite character trait of Bo, and are you similar to her in any way?
I mean, there's a lot of character traits of Bo that I love. I love that she was loyal, fiercely loyal to her friends. But I think the thing that I'm most similar with Bo is I have a very strong sense of justice. And I feel like Bo did too. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it can be a bit obnoxious in my real life, I think. But I do have a very strong sense of justice, and it needs to be done. And I don't mean like law enforcement necessarily. I just mean
Anna's out patrolling at night.
Right.
She's a vigilante.
Wrong. Moral justice, a strong sense of moral justice.
Very good. All right. This is from, I'm going to say it out loud, XEYNEP Berlim. Who was Bo's true love?
Oh my gosh.
Me. No.
You. Who was Bo's true love? I mean, I feel like everyone was. I don't mean like everyone that she macked on throughout the seasons, because there's a lot of people. But I mean, Lauren was her true love. Dyson was her true love. Kenzie was her true love. That core group really was her family. Trick was her true love. It's really impossible to choose. I know there's probably a lot of people that want me to choose, but it's impossible. She just, her family was her true love.
That's a very Bo answer. You don't have to choose.
I don't have to choose.
But
I refuse to choose.
Love that true love can be romantic or otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. Family forever.
Family forever.
Okay. Let me get out my glasses. Rachel.
Yes.
From AngieBug _ If you could sum up the experience of being on Lost Girl in one word, what would it be?
Fun is just the word that keeps coming to my mind. Because it really was. Of course, there were hard things. There were hard moments. More just challenges in terms of, being tired or being really hot or really cold or things like that. But it was just so much fun to be there with everyone and laugh and joke. And it never, at least for me, never really felt like hard work.
Yeah.
And when we were filming the scenes, it just, I don't know, everyone was so their character, and I really learned a lot. And I actually really learned a lot from you about what it meant. I've said this before, but what it meant to be the lead of a show, to be a true star. I felt you set this bar for me going forward in my career, and I had no idea how lucky I was.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice. That's very sweet. Okay. And it was fun. You're right. We had so much fun.
We had fun.
Another question for you. This is from, I just read this and now I can't read it.
Also,
this is not the intro.
Put this down because this is an autograph that we
screwed up. Okay. So this is a question for you, Rachel, from This Is Not the Intro. This is the Entree. Great handle, by the way.
Yeah, great handle.
Rachel, before you said that Anna is the best kisser and that you had a crush on her, is this still true?
Anna chose this question.
No, it didn't. It's totally random.
It's actually Anna's, like Finsta. Wow, great handle.
Yeah, great handle. It is not my question, but I have that question too. Is this still true? Do you still have a crush on me?
I did say that. And yeah, I'll always have a crush on you. How could you not have a crush on Anna Silk?
Or Rachel Skarsten.
Or Zoe Palmer, actually.
Zoe Palmer. I mean, and
I both have a crush on Zoe Palmer.
I think every human, an animal, and living being has a crush on Zoe Palmer.
The sun has a crush on Zoe Palmer. But yeah, you're beautiful. So obviously, physically, yes, I have a crush on you, but you're also just so beautiful on the inside. You're getting so uncomfortable. She's so beautiful on the inside. It's hard not to be in love with her. But to be loved by Anna is such a beautiful thing. And I feel very blessed to be loved by you.
Oh, thank you. Don't we look like folk singers right now? Like we could really...
I just thought of the folk singer. I was like, "Ha, Savannah," the Lion King. I don't know why that's not folk.
Because I think of like
actual folk singers, like Willie Nelson or something. Is he a folk music singer?
He would be like folky. He'd be like country western folk, but it would be like Johnny Cash or Neil
Armstrong.
No, Neil Young, Neil Armstrong, or just Neil. Neil.
You're just Neil, that guy. Cool. All right. Bye, guys. We hope you enjoyed that very special Mailbag Patreon only bonus episode just for you.
It was so much fun to make and so much fun to show you guys. So enjoy it. Happy holidays.
Yes. And make sure to check back because we have lots more bonus content just for you. Thank you for all your support. We're so grateful that you're here on Patreon.
Thank you.
Now, so hold my hand way up high for all to see that you let me ride along with you. So hold my hand way up high for all to see that you let me ride along with you. See the sun rise up over the dew. See the sun rise up over you. I know the feeling now. I know the feeling now. I know the feeling now. So hold my hand way up high the same. So hold my hand,